Carson Price, S&P Presents. Coming to you from the Go-Go Sports Studio, built by Arborlee, and that's here at the Wall Center, the largest hotel in Vancouver. You need a room? Give them a call, 604-331-1000. Matt Sekeres alongside Blake Price. Kurt Appleby hitting switches and conducting things. This is our special Labor Day edition, and it's a presentation of Audi Downtown Vancouver.
The corner of Barton 2nd, Audi Downtown Vancouver.ca. Being Labor Day, I think we can officially say we're in hockey season now. It's a hockey month.
Once you turn the corner from Labor Day, absolutely, it's Farhan Lalji's line. I love hockey 9 months of the year. August isn't one of them, but once you get into September,
that's a hockey month. It's hockey season. But more importantly, it's electric season, folks. Test drive the all-electric Q4 today at Audi Downtown Vancouver. West 2nd Avenue or Audi Downtown Vancouver.ca. I dare you to test drive the electric Q4.
At Sekeres and Price for your Bodog poll question today, folks. Bodog line of the day for me. I'm going to give you two here, Blake, because once we make the turn from Labor Day, that is most definitely NFL season, right? Mm-hmm. Conference to win the Super Bowl, AFC or NFC. We talked about this last year. All those great quarterbacks in the AFC. How do you not bet the AFC at minus 135? And I love the fact that Kansas City has a little bit of value to them this year, that they're not the top dog of the betting public. The fourth choice on Bodog at plus 1,000 to win Super Bowl 57. On your Bodog line of the day, Bodog, your trusted source, free casino games, poker strategy, and sports odds. Our guest today is Brandon Sutter, former Vancouver Canucks centerman, and as Blake notes to him, a right shot penalty killing centerman, which is still a need for the Vancouver Canucks and really has been since he left their lineup.
Yeah. It's unfortunate timing on a number of fronts. It's an unfortunate story, but hopefully you'll hear some hope here over the next little while.
It is an unfortunate story, and it hasn't been updated since, I guess, when Ben Kuzma did a story with Brandon Sutter about a month and a half ago in the province. And of course, we all remember the emotional interview he did with Dan Murphy during one of those final Vancouver Canuck games during the regular season back in the spring. 33 years old now, a COVID long hauler, back living in Alberta, Sylvan Lake, Alberta, with his wife and three children. Of course, a member of hockey dynasty, the Sutter clan. And we always enjoyed talking to Brandon when he was a player. And you could tell that those around the Vancouver Canucks gravitated towards him, that he had some built-in natural leadership qualities and also a whole heck of a lot of charisma. He's got a great sense of humor. He's just an easy conversation and always has been. He was there for the rise of Brock Besser, the rise of Elias Pettersson, the rise of Thatcher Demko and Quinn Hughes. So we get into some of that with him. We get into his tenure with the Canucks, 7 years, 6 seasons. Injury-riddled, to say the least. But by the same token, he's got some great memories of this place, as you'll hear. Mm-hmm. So,
and a chance for his career to go full circle, as you'll find out.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely. And he did not use the word retire. He is hoping to get back and be a National Hockey League player. Our next guest has played 820 National Hockey League games, 292 of them with the Vancouver Canucks, and we always include playoffs when we talk about those. Are the biggest games you've got, right? And it's our pleasure to welcome back to the show Mr. Brandon Sutter. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Very well.
Fantastic. Great to hear your voice again. I guess it will have been many months since the end of the hockey season in April since a lot of Canucks fans last heard your voice. First and foremost, sir, how are you doing these days, health-wise?
I'm definitely getting better. I've seen some improvements the last few months, but definitely not out of the woods yet. I still having a difficult time with just my lungs and my breathing stuff. So that's kind of, as an athlete, that's a pretty tough thing to overcome right now. So I've just been still just kind of taking it easy, and again, I'm hopeful to get back.
When you say you're getting better, do you view that through the prism of just being a human being, or do you view that through the prism of being a professional athlete? Like, where's your standard right now? Is it being able to live day to day, or live as an athlete day to day?
Well, that's just it. For me, it's just get myself back to normal as a human being, and I'm still not quite there. My whole mindset is to get myself completely healthy, and then I can start training and worrying about hockey. So I kind of know where I'm at with that. I think once I made that switch in my mind, probably back around the New Year this year, when I realized I wasn't coming back this past season, kind of helped me mentally. Just worry about myself first, and the hockey stuff will take care of itself later. So still obviously some unknowns there, but I'm just doing what I can. I just want to enjoy the time with my kids right now, my wife, and hopefully, like I said, worry about hockey at a later date.
That was actually my next question, Brandon, because we all saw you get a little bit emotional there when talking to Murph towards the end of the hockey season. Where is your mental health at? Where is your sort of coping on the day-to-day with all this?
Yeah, I remember when Murph asked me talking about it back then, and didn't really realize how hard it'd be to talk about until the camera's on, you get asked about it. And, it's been a challenging year, no question. My wife and I, we had our third baby back in August of last year, so the timing of everything and how I was feeling was just kind of a big storm. It just all hit at once, and it was a tough winter for us. Now it's been a lot better. I'm feeling better. I can kind of, more or less close to normal with the kids. I can run around with them and do stuff, but I still just can't. I want to take them hiking or biking and stuff like that, and I still have such a hard time doing just the most basic things with that. So I'm not quite there yet, but mentally I'm a lot better than I was. I was really stressed before. Even back in training camp last year when I told the team I wasn't feeling well and explained to them what was going on, I was just so stressed out, and now stress is kind of gone. I'm just worried about my health, and obviously I miss playing hockey, but there's obviously more to life than hockey, and I want to get myself back to normal, like I said, but I definitely miss, I do miss playing for sure, and I know I'm 33 years old now, and my years to play are slowly kind of slipping away here. So I want to get back as soon as I can, but I also understand that mentally I know I have to take care of myself, and I'll worry about the rest later.
I was going to ask how the family is doing with all this, if the kids are old enough to sort of understand what Dad's going through.
Yeah, our kids are 5, 4, and 1, so they're still pretty young. We just took them for their first day of school back here in Alberta this year, so we got them enrolled in kindergarten and at preschool, but, I think they're more or less confused with the hockey side. They don't know, they think I play for the Canucks, but they haven't seen me. They don't remember seeing me play because they didn't see me last year, and the year before that was the COVID year. So they don't remember anything about watching me play hockey. So I really hope one day I can, I kind of think about that day I get back playing and get them to the rink, and then they'll understand that dad is a hockey player. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to do one day. But yeah, they're good kids and fun to be with. So like I said, the whole blessing and all this the last year and a half is I've been home every day, so it's been nice to spend time with them.
Where are the Canucks in all this? Because technically, of course, free agent, but at the same time, I'm sure they feel some loyalty to you, and they think the world of you as a person. So what does the organization have now in your recovery, if any?
Yeah, to be honest, nothing now.
Yeah.
Through the winter, I think, started, especially back in the fall when this whole long COVID thing, like no one really knew what it was, or like it was so new to everyone, and we were trying to figure out. The doctors were trying to figure out what was going on, and that was the most frustrating part. We just couldn't figure out why it was happening or what it was. And it's definitely taken some outside opinions and specialists to figure out why this happens and what situation I'm in, with my physical health. So, but yeah, now there's pretty much nothing. I think obviously I'm a free agent, and like I do want to get back playing, and I always envisioned kind of finishing my career in Vancouver, and that's where I wanted to be. But I don't know where that will go. I don't know I haven't really heard much. Haven't heard anything from the team. So, when free agency started, there's a few teams that reached out and made contact, and we'll just see where it goes. Like I said, my goal now is to get myself healthy as soon as I can, and when I'm available to play hockey again, I got a kind of a comeback plan in terms of what I'm going to do at home to get myself back in shape if that day comes and get myself ready. So I do want to return mid-season, and like I said, I don't know where that's going to be.
The crime here, Brandon, is we have literally been talking about the need for penalty-killing right-handed centermen that have the ability to provide offense. Like, they actually have a perfect slot, or what we deem is a perfect slot for a Brandon Sutter kind of player right now. And I'm sure that has you hankering even more. If you think that they have any loyalty, do you think they would cast a glance your way if you proclaimed health in the next 5 months?
Well, yeah, that was even going back to last year. That was the mindset too. I thought, I knew I could fit in perfect on the team, and I love the guys there. And obviously, it's been a big change over the last year with staff and stuff like that too. But even last year, I just felt like I was still part of the group, and I just had that itch. I wanted to play with those guys, and again, I'm just unfortunate it didn't work out and hasn't worked out yet, but I definitely know what kind of player I am and what I can do. And again, we'll have to see what happens when I get myself back.
You You signed your deals with the old regime, Brandon, but do you know Jim Rutherford? Do you know Bruce Boudreau at all? Have you had any conversations with them?
Yeah, well, I've had Jim Rutherford. He drafted me when I was in Carolina. I've known him for forever, and then he's just the way things worked out over the years. He's traded me twice, so I don't know where I stand. But I had a good conversation with him. I think it was the day of our team picture this year, and he was asking kind of how I was feeling and what I want to do going forward, and had a good talk with him of where I'm at and where I wanted to play and things like that. So there's definitely good dialect there, and a good dialect at the end of the year with Patrick and my year-end meeting with him, and. But again, I think it's hard. It's kind of unpredictable right now in terms of when I will be ready to play. So we'll have to cross that bridge when I get there and just see what happens.
At the time that you contracted COVID, of course, it was part of what was then the largest outbreak amongst a North American Big Four sports team. Do you look back on how you contracted it, how the organization, the players, your teammates, others with the organization treated the disease or the virus? Do you look back on it? That with any degree of anger or bitterness, Brandon?
No. I think that year we had so many. Well, as you guys remember, there were so many protocols, and we were getting tested every day, and we really were doing all we could to prevent the spread if it did come. And I remember the day it happened. I remember we had an off-ice workout in the gym, a practice. We went home after practice. We found out someone had COVID, and then we came, and then we're like, oh, someone had COVID. Came in the next day. I think we had a game day the next day, and our game got canceled. And then it was about 2 days later, I started feeling sick. And at that time, everyone kind of started testing positive. And just the way it played out, it's crazy to think how it was, but it's so unpredictable, and you don't know how it's going to spread, who's going to get it. Some people in some households got it. Other people in their household don't get it. It really makes no sense, but it's, again, obviously frustrating I got it because it's been a year and a half of grinding since having it. And obviously would have loved to prevent it, but again, I had it for the 2 weeks, got sick, came back, played, and never really had an issue. And then all of a sudden, a couple months later, it really started hitting me, and just weird how it works out.
Have you been able to, just share stories and frustrations with any other athletes that have long COVID? Because you're not alone. I mean, it's not a long list, but there's others out there. Have you been able to connect with any of them?
Yeah, I've talked to a few guys that have been through similar things. I'm not going to name names, but a couple hockey guys and other athletes that have kind of gone through, I guess, something similar, or at their time, they didn't know what it was. It was kind of a mystery, but they knew they had COVID before, and that was kind of it. So it's strange. And then, a couple people, I guess it's hard to, I don't want to give away too much information, but everyone that I've talked to is now back and recovered. So that's good. There's definitely hope. It's just, for whatever reason, it's taken my body a bit longer to get on track, but I think I'm dealing with the right people now and trying the right things to speed up the process.
Were you able to watch much hockey last year, or was it just too hard?
Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time up in the press box watching a lot of home games, and it's hard. I mean, especially last year, the start of the year when the team was kind of struggling a bit, and I just felt like a player like myself could really help the group at that time, and I just thought I just felt bad because I felt like I was letting guys down, and that was kind of hard. But you can't control that stuff. You just have to, like I said, take care of my health and worry about the rest later. But it's just a little bit bitter because I really Vancouver for, I guess, 7 years, 6 seasons I played, and we had the 1 year in the bubble playoffs, but never had a chance to play a playoff game at Rogers, and that was kind of sticks with me a bit. So it's I'm disappointed if that's the end there, but I definitely, like I said, love the guys there, love the team. I definitely, watching hockey last year kept me invested, and I definitely miss it, and I definitely want to get back. I just have to see when that's going to be.
I was going to ask you, I know you want to return mid-season. Who knows? Maybe it's with the Vancouver Canucks, but if that is it for this franchise, how do you reflect back on your time with the team outside of no playoff games at Rogers?
Yeah, you know what? I absolutely loved it. I moved there. My wife and I moved there before we were married, and that was 7 years ago, and then we got married the first year, got a dog and 3 kids, all in Vancouver. All of our kids were born there, so it's a special place for us, and met a lot of good people there. A lot of the staff, the players, the fans. Everyone was always really welcoming to me, and I always enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm kind of mad or sad if that's how it ends the way it did, because I really felt like when I came there my first few years, like we kind of knew where we were at as a team, and we were kind of had a long ways to go. And then after I think the 4th year there, the year COVID happened, we really turned the corner and brought in some good veteran players and started seeing a kind of a change. Our young guys come up, and we really improved when Petey and Husey came in, and was excited about the prospects of the future, and then COVID and the way things have gone, it just didn't go as you expect. But that's life, that's sports. It doesn't always go as planned. And like I said, I wish we could have spent some more time in the playoffs while I was there. That'd be the only regret I have.
Yeah, you know what? I just did a quick look. You are the guy you're the only guy that has this gripe. If you are you have the most games, because Bo actually did get home playoff dates the year before you arrived.
His rookie year.
So you have the most tenure without a home playoff date at Rogers Arena. I think second place is Brock Besser, because Brock came in the year after at the very end. So you have the longest gripe, or the best gripe, if you will, about no playoff games at Rogers Arena. Do you see the team on the right track right now? What do you think the expectations are for this season for this team?
Yeah, again, to think about that, you look back at the last few years and what changed. We kind of climbed up and improved. Our young guys got better, and then 2 years ago, the COVID year, you can't really, playing in empty buildings all winter, that was an odd season for sure. And last year, obviously didn't start good, but the way the guys ended the last 4 months of the season was pretty exciting. So I'm sure as a group, the expectations to come back and pick up where he left off from last season. And again, they 2 years ago brought in some good veteran players, and that always helps. And look at, really like the way Paul Colson played last year as a young guy too. He's going to be good. So there's always optimism, and I'm, like I said, excited for the group there. There's a lot of good guys in that team, guys I spent a lot of time with, and even the guys that came in last year and I got to play with, got to know them a bit, and just wish I could have played with them on the ice. But I think, like I said, the expectation for every team is to make the playoffs, and the way they finished the second half of last year, that's got to be where they're at now.
Sort of referred to it somewhat already, but you saw a young up-and-coming player at every position develop there. Thatcher in goal, Quinn on defense, Elias at center, Brock at wing. What was it like for you to see basically what is going to be the Vancouver Canucks core going forward here all grow up under, you were one of the leaders of the team, right? All grow up under your tutelage.
Yeah, I really enjoyed getting to know those guys, both on and off the ice, and they all had, I think, especially Husey, Petey, and Best, their first years, just had a huge rookie season. And from that point on, they've kind of taken off. And obviously with Thatcher, came in as a goalie. Goalies always take a bit longer. And I think, 2 summers ago when we lost Tanev, Markstrom to Foley, it was a big hole for our team. And then Demmer came in and just became Demmer. And he's been amazing. So, seeing those guys grow and obviously play with Bo for 7 years too. So that whole group, good kids, super talented players, and hopefully they'll have some success in the future.
You mentioned the summer where Tanev to Foley, Markstrom goes off and signs in free agency elsewhere. How did that affect the room, in your opinion? We heard a lot on the outside that, they're very angry, that player group, that all those guys were left to go in free agency. What was that like for the room, losing those guys?
Yeah, well, as a player, I think especially when you're an older player, it hits different than when you're a younger guy, because once you turn 28, 29, 30, it's kind of funny how your mindset switches, because when you're a younger guy, you just want to be in the league, you want to have a role, you want to have a contract, you want to make your own way, and you don't really understand what winning is until you're older and you realize how much time you have left to win. And at the end of the day, when you retire, you just want to win. You want to win a Stanley Cup. And that's 3 years ago when we lost those guys in free agency. For lack of a better term, it sucked, because we had just grown that season and kind of turned things around. And like I said, we had the support of the young guys now that were really good players, our top end players. But you really need those guys that have been there and done that. You need those veteran players. You just do not win without it. Every year in the Stanley Cup Finals, the 4 teams left have a solid group of veteran players. And that year we lost those 3 guys, and it was just it just set us back. The way we started that year, there's no question you can look back at that and say that didn't affect our team, because they're such good players. And they went on to that next year. We played Toffoli. I think he scored 50 goals against us in Montreal that year. And then, Tanny's just a steady guy. Obviously they've now kind of replaced guys like that, but it took time. And then the Markstrom situation, obviously Demmer came in and stood on his head. So that probably worked out best for Markey, best for Demmer, best for everybody. So, but yeah, they were 3 big parts of our team. And like I said, veteran players, and Toffoli had won a couple cups or a cup, and he knew how to get there. And the way Tanev plays the game, it's hard to replace those guys. And it definitely, that first year, it definitely took us time to figure that out.
Brendan, we understand you're back in Alberta these days. which is where it all began for you, of course, with the Red Deer Rebels back in the day. You reflect back on the early days of your career now as you grind away and try to get back to health? Do you find the hockey life is flashing before your eyes, and do you think about simpler times?
Yeah, a little bit. You start thinking about it for sure. Being back home, I don't know what the future will hold, but I guess my plan I have in my head is I get back healthy, get myself back on track, and then I'll likely start training and skating with the Rebels again while I'm here,
wow.
and just kind of get back. That's kind of an option that I think I'll have, and be a good place to go and train and just kind of get back into it and practice with junior kids again, just kind of get yourself back in the mind frame of hockey. So that's my, goal over the course of the next however long. But you definitely look back at the start. You think about, playing minor hockey and then getting into junior, and then all of a sudden going to the NHL draft, and you go from being a kid that just likes playing hockey, and then all of a sudden you're drafted to an NHL team, and there's expectations, and it becomes a job. So it's been a long 14 years, but I've definitely enjoyed it, and I hope I can get back at some point here.
We were talking to Ray
15 years ago he last played for the Red Deer Rebels.
And he's coming
49 points
full circle.
59 games.
And I was talking to Ray about Landon's experience. He said that he just loved playing for that Rebels team. That you're the big man on campus in that town, and not a ton to do, but just enough that it was a great experience for Landon. I'm sure you had the same, and you had family coaching as well.
Yeah, it was. I remember at the time I was when I got drafted to junior, I guess I was 14, and we just finished our provincial or national championships in Bantam AAA, and our draft was the next week. And I remember kind of had an idea where I was going to get drafted, a couple teams, and the day before the draft, my dad pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, like our scouts, they want to draft you." And at that point, that had never crossed my mind. I always thought I'd go play somewhere else, just like every other kid. I didn't really want to play for my dad, but I kind of got drafted where I was drafted, and they drafted me, and it worked out great. I really enjoyed it, and I still lived in a billet family, still was treated like everyone else, but Dad was the coach, and he was my coach for 2 years, and then my Uncle Brian was the coach my last year, so I had the family genes around me. But it's a great place to play hockey for sure. Sandwiched right between Calgary and Edmonton, so you got pretty much split 50-50 Oilers and Flames fans, and a really good junior program right in the middle of it. So they got a big draw. There's a lot of hockey fans out here, so it's a pretty good area to be.
Something tells me that Dad and Uncle might have been harder on you than on the other players, right? that they're of that school.
To avoid suspicion of favoritism, we're going to be extra hard on Brandon.
Is that how it played out, Brandon?
Yeah, well, probably, you know what? It was actually pretty good. I don't think he was ever too bad. I think it's more just, when your coach tells you to F off or whatever, it's now your dad telling you that. Little bit different than a normal coach. So that was probably the hardest part. Other than that, like I said, it went really well, and I did not want to live at home because I've seen my dad after a couple tough losses, and I did not want to come home to that. So I still had a billet family, and looking back, it was an awesome experience for sure.
Help us out on this with the Sutter clan. So you're a free agent right now. Who do you root for in the NHL? Is it Uncle Daryl in Calgary? Is it one of the other Sutters somewhere in the NHL? What does a unaffiliated NHL Sutter, who does he root for?
That's a great question. I'm just going to watch football, I think.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
There
you go.
No, again, growing up in Alberta here, it's funny because, like I said, it's pretty much probably 49% Oilers fans, 49% Flames fan, and maybe 1% Jets and 1% Canucks. That's kind of like how it works. And as a kid, there was always bets in school. If you were a Flames fan, you had to pick. You couldn't be both. So I was always a Flames fan because when I was a kid, my Uncle Brian was coaching there, and then all of a sudden my Uncle Daryl was coaching there, and then Daryl was the GM, and then my dad was coaching there, and now Daryl's back. So there's always been a Flames connection somehow. So that was always my childhood team. But I'm sure I'll keep an eye on them and the Canucks a lot this fall and just kind of see where it goes.
I'm not sure if you've thought about it, but put your analyst hat on, and what kind of year do you think the Canucks will have?
Well, I think they're going to be a team probably, again, the way they played the last 4 months of the season last year, it's hard to imagine them being anywhere in the bottom of the league. They got to, the way they played against good teams down the stretch and beat them, especially on the road. There was one road trip, I think, in Minnesota, and I can't remember the road trip they had in maybe late March or April, where it was kind of make or break time. I think they won 3 of the 4 games, and that just kind of goes to show you that they got a chance. And I think down the stretch this year, they'll be in the playoff race, and they'll be part of it. So that's their expectation, and I'm sure that's where they're going to be.
You mentioned to us that 3 times a week you make the drive in from your home in Sylvan Lake to Calgary for medical treatment. Just take us through your day-to-day these days, Brandon, as you try and get back.
Yeah, so I'm right now I've kind of got it narrowed down to what I got to do. So I at least have a bit of a plan. And so I drive down, it's about an hour and 40 minutes from my house. So I drive down to Calgary and go to a health clinic there that's doing some treatments with me to try to help me out and kind of get my immune system working properly again. So that's my 3 days a week. And I think through September, it's only twice a week. So I'm kind of getting down to the end of it. But other than that, just, wake up with the kids and get them breakfast. And now they're starting school this week. So I'm kind of being more or less a stay-at-home dad right now. And like I said, I'll be excited to get back to the gym and when I can do that. But until then, just trying to enjoy the time. And it's harvest season here in Alberta right now, so the combines are out. So it kind of feels like my childhood again. And it's a very rural community, so I'm pretty excited to be around for that. And I just try to enjoy it.
And Dad's doing well?
Dad's well, yeah. He's still with the Rebels and Red Deers. He's still the family owns the team, and he stopped coaching last year, and he's got a little less on his plate now. So he's doing good, and everyone's no real complaints here.
Well, it's great to hear your voice again. You were always fantastic with us in the Vancouver media, Brandon. So thank you for that. We hope we can continue this relationship here going forward, and we certainly hope that we see you back on the ice in an NHL uniform whenever you get healthy, my man. Thank you for the time here today. Wish you the best.
Best of luck, Brandon.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
That was Brandon Sutter with Harrison Price on a special Labor Day edition of S&P Presents. It's a presentation of Audi Downtown Vancouver.
Audi Downtown Vancouver, AudiDowntownVancouver.ca, and they want to remind you that electric cars don't have to be expensive or over $200,000. No. You can get into an electric Audi, the all-new Q4, for under $55,000, and it qualifies for both the federal and provincial rebates. How about them apples? Go to AudiDowntownVancouver.ca or the corner of Burrard and 2nd.
Boy, a lot to unpack there. When he talks about lungs and breathing and still having issues, and just, of course, getting back to normalcy for any human. And a great question, Blake, about, are you trying to get back just to live life or to professional athlete standards? And I really like the way he's approaching this, that it's a step-by-step process, right? That, first get back to the point where you can go hiking and biking with the kids. Do your heart not sink when you hear that? And then hopefully get to a point where you can get back on the ice and competing in the best league in the world. His answer about the interview with Murph, that he didn't realize how hard it would be to talk about everything on camera, by way of explanation for the emotion we saw tonight, as Murph asked all the right questions and Brandon led us into his world. It's built as it was.
Yeah, sometimes that's the case, right? As soon as you start to put voice to something, an issue in your life, you realize how emotional and how loaded that particular topic is. Mm-hmm. And it's too bad, because the team is now morphing into the kind of team where he can find his role a lot more. He was brought into this team.
Could you imagine Brandon Sutter as the fourth line right shot penalty kill centerman right now, Blake?
Be perfect. Because
it may have offset the need for Curtis Lazar, or in addition to Curtis Lazar, then you got a couple of them.
He was brought here with way too much offensive expectation, remember? And with that contract, he necessitated offense, except that's just not his game.
No.
If you get to 20 goals, that was luxury, but that should not have been the expectation. It should have been a 15 and 20 kind of guy, 15, 25, maybe you get to 40 points and you get all the other stuff that comes along with it. And that's the kind of player he could be right now for the Vancouver Canucks, but he's still got so much work to do.
When the Canucks traded for him, signed him to that extension, you'll remember two things. Number one, it was the richest contract for a player who had never been better than 40 points a year. And secondly, they called him a foundational player. So the expectations were sky high. Blake, I can remember that summer and warring with some of our listeners in the inbox and on Twitter, because they thought 21 goals in Pittsburgh, he's going to be a 30-goal guy here because of more opportunity. And I was like,
doesn't work like that.
Well, he's hit 21 twice. Gosh, if he hit 21 again, that would be really good. If he got to 25, you'd be overjoyed doing cartwheels down Robson. The high water mark was the one quote-unquote full season he played. It was 81, not 82.
Yeah, it was a nice season.
That was a decent year, 17, and 34. I think he articulated what a lot of us felt that year coming out of that year where they lose Jacob Markstrom, Chris Tanev, and Tyler Toffoli in free agency that summer, that the team had just grown up, that it really sucked, that once he got to the level of the NHL that he was at in his late 20s, now interested in winning as opposed to, what's my role? Am I going to be able to stick here? And all the insecurities that young players have. And it was really a crying shame to see those three players walk out the door amidst, cutbacks from Canuck Sports Entertainment in the pandemic. We can always wonder, what could have happened, because God knows Jacob Markstrom and Chris Tanev have been darn good players since then.
Yep.
Toffoli not as much, but he hasn't really had the centerman in Montreal that his profile game requires. And, to hear him lament no playoff games at Rogers Arena during his career, that's sad on the hockey side of things. But when we talk about heart sinking, the line he had there about the kids that they think I play for the Canucks, but they don't really remember and they're confused, and he wants to show them that dad is a hockey player. That hit home and that hit heavy.
I think Tyler Toffoli is going to do mighty fine with the Calgary Flames this year, though. I think, he'll have his centerman now with the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, after
those three players are going to be just fine, all reunited now in Calgary. So best of luck to Brandon Sutter.
Yeah.
Hey, may just fall in his lap and in the Canucks lap that maybe, 4 months, 5 months from now, Brandon Sutter's feeling great. Maybe the Canucks have an injury issue and there's not going to be a lot of leverage from Sutter's standpoint for salary. It'll have to be pretty accommodating, and that will fit for the Vancouver Canucks. So never say never. He might be a Vancouver Canuck still.
Bodog line of the daytime, Blake Price. Give me a winner here on Labor Day.
Do you want to know the fun thing?
What's that?
The opener for the Vancouver Canucks is up on Bodog.
Is it really? Good
It is up. Canucks versus the Oilers, October 12th. Canucks are the underdog. Get it in.
You don't say in Edmonton.
Plus 150 on the Vancouver Canucks over the Edmonton Oilers.
On your Bodog line of the day. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great long weekend here. Hope you enjoyed this special edition S&P Presents. So remember to follow us and Rinkwide wherever you get your podcast. And please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Keep it local.